What if you took the relaxing, farming, fishing, cooking, and relationship building of a cozy life sim and dropped it directly into a Lovecraftian nightmare? Welcome to Elderfield, one of the strangest, cozy horror games I've ever seen. You can farm, you can fish, you can decorate your house. You can even make friends with the locals. But everything has a dark twist. You can also fight eldritch monsters, investigate supernatural mysteries, grow eyeball crops, and even get cursed in your sleep. So today, we're going through 5 things you need to know about Welcome to Elderfield, especially if you're a fan of cozy games with a darker side. So let's get into it. The first thing you need to understand is that Welcome to Elderfield isn't just a horror-themed farming simulator. It's much closer to a cozy RPG and life sim that happens to be infested with cosmic horror. And that's important because the game seems designed around giving you a lot of different ways to spend your time. You might start your day taking care of your farm, and then maybe you'll go fishing and head into town and talk to one of the locals. Or maybe you decide to follow one of the daily news broadcasts that runs you into the other side of Elderfield. The monsters. The mysteries. The game even describes itself as a place where the abnormal is normal. And that's probably the best way to think about the setting. You're not constantly running away from some monster in a dark hallway. Instead, the horror is woven into everyday life. Your neighbors are strange. You're pretty strange. And apparently, even your farm can become a problem. That combination is what makes this interesting for cozy horror fans. Number 2 is the farm is considerably weirder than your average cozy game. If you played games like Stardew Valley and other farming sims, you know the basic routine. Plant crops, water crops, harvest crops, make money. In Elderfield, it takes that familiar loop and it gives it a very disturbing makeover. You'll be able to grow normal crops like wheat and radish, but you can also grow things like eyeballs. Yeah, eyeballs. You're also managing otherworldly livestock while dealing with ghost tentacles growing around your property. So instead of worrying about whether your celery are getting enough sunlight, you might eventually find yourself wondering whether the horrifying thing growing next to your barn is supposed to be there. And honestly, that's exactly the kind of ridiculous horror I want from a game like this. The game also combines farming with gathering resources, mining, fishing, and foraging, because those systems aren't just there to make the world feel busy. They're connected to the RPG side of things. Resources can help you prepare for encounters, upgrade your equipment, and generally survive whatever Elderfield decides to throw at you. So if you're someone who loves the satisfying progression loop of cozy games where you start with nothing and slowly build a life, Elderfield looks like it has that appeal. It's just that your dream homestead may contain an alarming number of biological abnormalities. And third, this is probably the biggest surprise for people expecting a purely cozy experience. But Welcome to Elderfield has a turn-based RPG combat. It's not simply a token combat system. You're expected to use resources you've gathered, strategic buffs, and different pieces of equipment when fighting the game's Lovecraftian creatures. That gives Elderfield a pretty interesting rhythm. The cozy activities aren't necessarily separate from the dangerous ones. Farming, gathering, crafting, and exploration can help prepare you for combat. And combat in turn becomes another reason to explore and gather resources. The developers have even embraced the idea that you're going to lose sometimes. Almost all foraging encounters are governed by a dice roll, and that brings us to something especially important for a cozy gamer. You can choose your difficulty, and that's a really smart idea for this particular genre, because not everybody playing a cozy horror game wants the same thing. Some people want to decorate their house, make friends, grow vegetables, and experience a story. And other players here Lovecraftian farming RPG and immediately think, how hard can this thing possibly get? Elderfield accommodates both. And number 4 is probably my favorite thing about the game's presentation. Elderfield isn't relying on horror alone to make the world unsettling. The visuals are a horror manga-inspired hand-drawn artwork paired with a dark lo-fi soundtrack composed by Dated. And that combination is a huge part of the game's identity. Instead of giving you a completely bleak horror world, Elderfield creates this weird contrast. You have a cozy little farm. You have villagers to talk to. You can go fishing. You can decorate your home. And then you notice something in the woods that absolutely should not be there. And that's the appeal of cozy horror in general. The familiar stuff makes the disturbing stuff feel even more disturbing. And Elderfield seems to lean heavily into the contrast. Even the game's premise is built around it. The townspeople are odd. The local news reports become increasingly strange. And eldritch beings are watching you. And despite all this, you're still expected to get up in the morning and take care of your crops. It's almost like the game is asking, what if everyone in your Stardew-style farming town knew something was horribly wrong and just decided to carry on with their day? For players who enjoy atmospheric horror rather than non-stop survival horror, that's potentially one of Elderfield's biggest strengths. And finally, this is the thing that I really want you to know before you judge the game based on the demo. The current demo is only a slice of what the developers are planning for the full game. Steam describes the demo as a vertical slice, and it includes part of the town, the farm, and the ranch, and the first dungeon area, a local mall, and several smaller areas to explore. But the developers say the planned full game is expected to have more than 3 times the town size, at least 2 additional dungeon areas, and multiple levels in those dungeon locations. The developers have also described additional planned features, including Old God alignment, calendar-based events, quality of life improvements, and more content built around the systems already present. So if you play the demo and think, wait, that's it? That's not necessarily representative of the intended final scope. And there's another reason the demo is worth checking out. You can play it for free on Steam right now. And if you're interested in the game, the demo is probably the best way to figure out whether this unusual combination of farming, RPG combat, relationships, and cosmic horror is actually your thing. So let's recap. Number 1. Welcome to Elderfield is much more than a farming game. It's a cozy RPG and life sim wrapped around mystery, exploration, and horror. Number 2. Your farm is absolutely bizarre. You're dealing with strange livestock, tentacles, and crops that include teeth and eyeballs. Number 3. There is legitimate turn-based RPG combat, and the game lets you decide how much suffering you actually want. Number 4. The horror comes from the atmosphere as much as the monsters, with hand-drawn horror-inspired visuals and dark lo-fi music creating a very unusual, cozy but creepy aesthetic. And finally, the demo available right now is only a portion of the planned game. The full release is currently scheduled for September 10th, 2026 on Steam. So honestly, if you like games that make you say, I want to relax and grow some crops, but I also want to uncover an ancient supernatural conspiracy and possibly marry someone who may or may not be completely normal, then Welcome to Elderfield might be worth putting on your radar. And because the demo is free, you don't have to wait until launch to find out whether the cozy horror combination works for you. Let me know in the comments whether you're here for the farming, the horror, the romance, or the absolutely cursed crops. And if you want more videos covering upcoming cozy horror games, make sure to subscribe.